Hi guys, welcome back to a new video of Marshals Unleashed. Today we are going to introduce our new game, the Battle of Trafalgar. Now, this game is really something else because we managed to make a transition from our land battles with Marshals Unleashed, land battles, Napoleonic wargaming, to now an extension to naval battles. And which battle would be the most interesting, of course, would be Trafalgar. Now, Trafalgar was fought on the 21st of October 1805, and it would determine if Napoleon could have his big dream come out to invade England. So therefore he needed a total dominance at sea. But the British, who had the dominance at sea, well aware of Napoleon's plans, they knew that Napoleon was preparing an invasion. And if they would lose that dominance at sea, England could be in danger. So therefore, an alliance was made between the French and the Spanish, and the British, under the Admiral Nelson, went head-on to confront that alliance and to basically destroy the threat that is coming. So this is what happened at Trafalgar. The game we designed is really easy to understand. It is basically, if you understand the basic commands, you can learn very fast the gameplay. It has also a learning curve, so where you start with a small amount of vessels and you build up the amount of vessels, so at one point you can command an entire fleet. And I believe we succeeded in the gaming rules and the way of playing, that we have succeeded that you are able to simulate that you are really an admiral commanding a complete fleet of the time. So, the board. This is the map of the Sea Battle of Trafalgar. It's made out of 17 rows, and 27 columns. So that's really a big space for you to maneuver your ships. So what do you see as well? You see numbers here on the sides of the map. This is when you want to deploy at a historical order. So you can see the regions where you can deploy your vessels. It helps you. You also have helping tools on each side. On the left side you will find different types of ships, and on the right side you will find additional information during the gameplay. When you have some questions, you want to know, hey, what can I do with this? You can consult it there. We have the compass, and with the compass comes as well the wind direction, where you use this tool basically. So you have to throw with the wind dice the direction of the wind if you want to play with the wind. Now, the game is very easy to understand. You have three classes of ships, beginning with the first rate. This is the most powerful ships. This is the 99 plus gun ships. This is also the rates that has the admirals. And you will see in the display of a ship if it has a golden anchor, which means this is an admiral ship. On the ship as well, you will see that there is a flag. So you can see distinctively which nation this ship belongs to. So we have the gold sails, the first rate ships, then we have the white sails, the second rate ships, and then we have the third rates, we have the blue sails at third rate ships. Now, the differences between the gold, white and blue is obviously there's a tactical difference. The gold sails are the more powerful ships because they have the most guns, but they also are very heavy. So which means their movement points is a lot lower than the white and the gold. The white sails, which is the second rate ships, have a little bit more movement maneuver, has a little less more power in firing, but they are still a very good ship to have in your fleet. Then we have the third ships, the third rate with the blue sails. They are not so powerful in firing with guns, but they can cover a lot of distance, ideal for flanking maneuver. Now, obviously you need to play the game by building up step by step. So it's very important that you learn basically the basics, and once you learn the basics you can build up more and more ships to command. What else comes with the game? This is the manual. It's a pretty nice manual, very easy to understand and written, so it has good illustrations and also explanations on how to play the game. We have the firing arc to help you determine the distance or the ranges where you can fire, and we have as well the wind direction icons, and we have damage icons, and as well nations flags. What also is in the game, that is the ability to play with the fog of war rule, which means you can place labels on units ship displays, and you can also play with the fog of war rule. So when a ship enters the distance less than 6 squares, you have to remove the display, and you can see then which ship is actually hidden. Now, why we choose to work with the ship's rates in colors? Now, obviously, it's a big battle. Yeah, so which means that the game must also have the ability to present historically correct. So if we go in details with the ships and the amount of guns, the displays would be too small. So we created the 3 classes that is recognizable by the cells: the golden cells, first-rate ships, the white cells, second-rate ships, and the blue cells, the third-rate ships. So from distance, each player can see which type of ship they're dealing with. And it also makes it a little bit exciting, because you have to be really paying attention during the game which ships is advancing or coming to your direction. Yeah. So this is the basics of the game. You have a really big map in centimeters, 90 by 148 centimeters in inches. It's 59.5 and 33 inches. So it's a really big map. You're going to enjoy it. It fits in all regular tables. Yeah, you can play the game 1 by 1, or you can play the game 2 by 2, dividing the fleet by a certain amount of players. That's also possible. Now, I'm going to explain you the details of the gameplay, just the basics. We have a very good trick nowadays. You know, the AI is taking over the world, but you can also use it to your advantage in the way, if you upload the manual, just upload it, for example, to an AI like ChatGPT, you load it up, yeah, and you can ask directly your questions to the AI, and it's going to answer you based on the rules of the game. So, which makes it really easy if you have questions, if you don't understand things exactly. The rules are really 100%. Yeah, we worked it out. It's been a lot of time we spent on this. The game is just, in my opinion, perfect. So, but to help players to understand, for example, if they have more questions, upload the manual into an AI system and ask your question directly in the AI, and it's going to give you the answers. We tested a different kind of questions, and the answers came perfectly according to the rules of the manual. So that's a tip for you. Okay, now let's start with the basics. The game is played with 4 dice. You have 2 dice basically to fire, which 1 dice for the second rate and the third rate. The success rate of hitting is lower than the first rate, yeah. And you have 1 dice especially for the golden cells, because they have more guns and their accuracy is much higher. So 2 firing dice, 1 for the second and the third rate, and 1 for the first rate, which are the golden cells. We have a close combat dice, which means close combat. That means you can board ship as well. So there's also the ability to board ships while you play this game. Fantastic. And then we have the 4th dice, which is the wind direction dice, that you can use during your gameplay when you want to have an attempt to change the wind in your favor. But always take into account the wind cannot always go to you as a favor, but can work against you as well. Okay? Now, each ship has, for example, the classes. So, like I explained to you, we have 3 classes. we have the gold cells, which is the first rate, the white cells, the second rate, and the blue cells, which is the third rate. The difference is between those is that the gold cells, the big difference, can only move 2 squares in every direction. Yeah, 2 squares. The white cells, which is the second rate, can move 3 squares in every direction. Doesn't matter, 3 squares in every direction. Then we have the blue cells, which is the third rate. They can move 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. So they can cover a lot more distance than the second rate and the first rate. So the advantage of these third rate ships is obviously use them to cover a lot of ground and a flanking maneuver. So this is the movement in any direction. Based on their movement range, they can move in any direction. If you move a ship, for example, take the first rate, you can move it, but you can also, when it ends the move, you can turn it to a direction to fire, which counts as the same movement. Now, every player has 3 action points. What is an action point? An action point is a command you can give to a ship. You have 3 of them. To learn to play the game, you can start with 2 action points each, just to learn the basics. But the game is designed to have 3 action points, and within these 3 action points, you can maneuver your fleet, you can attack, you can board. Okay? Now, let's get back to the movement. If you have, for example, these 3 ships, you can form a battle group or a squadron. Now, a squadron is made out of ships which is in direct adjacent squares up to 4 ships, which means that 4 ships adjacent to the squares they are laying can form a battle group. If they form the battle group, they can move as 1 unit using 1 action point, which means that this whole group here becomes a squadron. And a squadron moves at the ship's slowest member, which means we have here the first rate ship. It moves at 2 grids, 2 grids, which means the whole squadron moves 2 grids. Always take the movement of the slowest ship in a squadron. Obviously, if a squadron has 4 third rate ships, it can move up to 4 grids in 1 single move using 1 action point. At the end of a move, ship can turn using the same action point. So in other words, you can prepare them to fire. Yeah. And a great combination is that you are able to combine commands, which means you can move and you can fire after you have reached your destination. Yeah. So this is the basic of movement commands. So basically what you could do, you could fire and then use the whole squadron to move back. Or you could move, put them in position to fire, and fire using the dice according to the rate of the ship. That's 1 action point. Now, firing, ships are able to fire in 2 different ways, basically front and rear and at the sides. Yeah, so they're able to fire broadside. Yeah, but if there is a situation that occurs, they can also fire with the same action point at both broadsides, which means that each side can fire according his rate, and then the other side can fire according to his rate. So you can fire in 1 action point, 2 sides. So you can imagine what situation this creates during a battle. So it's fantastic. So the trick is, if you can come between the lines and use your full capacity of firing both of your sides of the guns of your ship, obviously creating the most damage. Ships are also able to fire by stern, by the front or the back, but at a shorter range. The regular fire range of the third-rate ship is 4 squares, the second-rate ship is 5 squares, and the gold rate, so the golden cells, the first rate, is 6 squares. Yeah. Now, firing from the front to the back of the ship, from the stern of the bow, you can only have a maximum of 3 squares, only direct or in the back. If you are firing, for example, with these golden cells, yeah, you can use your firing arc. That's just a tool to help you. So it stays here, you can see easy. There's the range for the gold cells, the first rate, the second rate, and the third rate, and the distance you can use to fire from the stern of the bow, from the front to the rear. Yeah, and you also see that above 3 squares, if you fire from the broadside, the arc widens, which means it's not only 1 square, but also the adjacent square above 3 squares, so which basically makes an arc. Yeah, so you're able to target ships as from 3 squares distance, not directly laying in your path, so it is able to target other ships as well. Yeah, so like I said, you can use eventually, after you play a lot of the game like I have done, you don't need this one, it is only a tool to help you, but it's really handy, it's there, so use it. So it's very simple, you fire, you position your ship, you fire between the range you have with your rate. Each ship can fire 3 rounds, yeah, so which means, for example, if I'm targeting here with my first rate, this ship, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I can have it, and above 3, I can target as well the lane next to it. Firing is very simple. You have the physical dice, yeah, which we provided also the images. If you want to have physical dice, you can use stickers to paste them up and throw with physical dice. Personally, I use my phone with the app, and I download the app. You see in the manual as well how to do it, and I use my phone with the dicing app to throw. But anyway, each ship can fire 3 times. Yeah. Remember, the first rate has the highest accuracy rate. The second rate is lower. Yeah. So the second rate and the third rate have a rate at 50%, which is mean 3 of the 6 sides is a hit. With the gold rate, you have 4 of the 6 sides is a hit. So they're significantly more powerful and accurate when shooting. So on the other hand, they're also really vulnerable because they can't move fast. So they can't move a lot of distance. So you have to play really tactically where to put your first rate ships according to your second rate and your third rate ships. Yeah, it's thinking like an admiral basically. So yeah, so this is really important during the gameplay that you understand, okay, I have a lot of firepower with certain rates, but they are also vulnerable, and how I'm going to decide to protect my flagship. Okay, now like I said, shooting is depending on the rate of the ship. You shoot 3 times at a normal distance. Each hit you put a marker on the ship's display. Yeah, it's basically like in our land battles, you have the marker, the damage marker, you put it on the ship's display, and you also have the ability to ripple the cells. So basically to destroy the cells and put the ships unable to move. So therefore, for example, if I'm able to hit the cells of this one, it's unable to move, I put the cells marker that's destroyed, and this ship cannot move until it's repaired and use 1 action point to do so. Yeah. So this is the way you can fire. You can fire according to your ship's rate. The first rate has the best chance to make a hit. The third rate and the second rate is a 50-50% chance. You declare upfront, I'm going to shoot broadside regular cannons, or I'm going to try to hit the cells to immobilize the ship. So ideal, for example, to target first-rate ships. Now, what also really important is that you have to understand that once a ship is immobilized, it cannot move. So it needs one action point to repair in order to remove the damage icon, and it's able to sail again. Now, this is also the only aspect of the ships that can be restored or repaired. So ripped sails. Damage cannot be repaired. So if the ship is taking damage, when the damage total has reached, each HP is reached, is destroyed and removed from the field. So the golden rates has 6 damage, the white have 5 damage, and the blues, the third rates, have 4 damage. So you can also make an account, okay, which ships I'm going to make a line of, what screen am I going to make, how I'm going to approach the enemy lines in order to play my strategy. Okay, now I've talked about boarding. Boarding is also a way to attack ships. What you do with boarding, for example, this ship's third rate is here, and I want to board the Spanish second-rate ship. Okay, that is possible. Now, each ship has a boarding crew number value. That value is counted in the boarding. I'm going to explain you how it works. Boarding is very simple. You go with your range in the same square of the ship you want to board. You declare the command boarding. Boarding is then decided by throwing the dice. So every ship throws 2 dice, and each dice has a number. So you have the attack dice, which has 4 points, and you have the defense dice, which has 2 points. And as well, you add the bonus of your ship's rate, which is for the first rate. You can see always here on the map where you can find that information if you want it. Just check your map. You can see here the first rate has 4 crew bonus, the second rate has 2 crew bonus, and the third rate has 0 crew bonus, which means you throw 2 times, 4 for an attack, 2 for defense. You add, if you have a first rate ships, 4 bonus, 4 and 2 and 4 makes 10. If the other ships throws below it, it loses its ships. If it has an equal, a draw, the boarding is not successful. So this is the way you play boarding. So boarding can be done only maximum of twice per turn. Targeting cells can only be done once per turn. So make sure you use those items at the right appropriate moment in time. Okay. Now, what's also important, that is the wind direction. The game can start historically that the wind is coming from the northwest, or you can throw, if you want to just play a random game, you deploy your ships on the first 3 rows from each side, then you decide which player can throw the wind dice, and the wind dice is at or turn in the direction where the wind is coming from. Okay? Within the game, what you need to do to order to have the wind in your favor, you need to give 1 action point. With an action point, you throw the wind dice. The wind dice can have changes, but can also have no changes. The wind can fall in your favor, but can also fall into your disadvantage. So, sailing with the wind is very important with the game. Now, I suggest when you start playing Trafalgar is that you start to play without the wind, just to make sure you know the maneuvering of your vessels. Try to maneuver your ships as squadrons, try to position them between enemy lines so you can use both broadsides to have one amazing fire attack using just only 1 action point. That's really the basics. Once you know the basics, I would suggest go to the next level and play with the wind. With the wind, if the wind is coming from the northwest, if you go with the wind, you have a +1 range in your movement. If you sail against the wind, you have -1 range in your movement. If you go side the wind, there is no effect. Yeah? With the wind, +1 range, against the wind is -1 range, side to the wind has no effect. Okay? Now, playing with the wind, like I said, is a risk, but you can do this during the battle if you have an idea or an attempt or a strategy. Now the winds will change that you can use in your favor, but remember, it's always a risk. Okay? Now, also very important to go back with the firing. The firing you can use, obviously, one ship, yeah, if you maneuver to fire, but if you fire in a squadron, like a squadron, all ships can fire. So each ship of the squadron, you need to turn the dice, throw the dice to have the results. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, that's the advantage of a squadron. It enables you to move as one unit, but once in position, it can also fire as one unit by throwing each vessel the dice according to their rates. Yeah. You cannot board 4 ships using a squadron. The maximum boarding is only 2. Yeah, remember this. But like I said, the beginning is very important that you learn to maneuver your ships, to maneuver to form squadrons, make squadron combinations of first-rate ships, second-rate and third-rate ships. What is the purpose of each squadron? Yeah, what do you want to do with it in your game tactic, in your plan to destroy the enemy, and so on. Yeah, so there is a learning curve, like I said in the beginning of the video, where you start with a small amount of ships and you build up. Eventually, you play the big Battle of Trafalgar. And I can guarantee you, folks, once you understand the mechanism, once you understand the really gameplay, how to use your vessels, your ships of the line properly, you're going to have so much fun with this game. You will see for yourself. It's different than the land battles. It has another feeling to it. It has really a very nice, smooth gameplay that you will enjoy. So that's it for now. That was the presentation of the Battle of Trafalgar. I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.